How about you, Deputy? Is that gun just for show? Or do you get to shoot people once in a while?
Do you know the story of Hollywood legend Gene Hackman? Think again. What we just discovered about his final days changes everything, and it exposes the dark, twisted secret his family is now desperately trying to hide from the world. This isn't the peaceful retirement story you've been told. This is a shocking tale of a double tragedy, a mysterious illness, and a courtroom battle over a legacy that's far more complicated than any character he ever played. The truth about what happened in that secluded Santa Fe mansion is more disturbing than any scene from The French Connection. And we have the details that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about this iconic actor.
Independence Day.
Independence Day. Eugene Allen Hackman, born on January 30th, 1930, and who passed away around February 18, 2025, is remembered as one of the most distinguished American actors of his generation. His career, which spanned over 4 decades, established him as a formidable talent and a key figure in the new Hollywood movement. Hackman's journey in film began with his credited debut in the 1964 drama Lilith, but it was his role as Buck Barrow in the groundbreaking 1967 crime drama Bonnie and Clyde that first earned him widespread critical acclaim and his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. This early success was a sign of the remarkable career to come. Hackman's status as a leading man was cemented when he won the Academy Award for Best Actor for his iconic portrayal of the relentless and gritty detective Jimmy Popeye Doyle in William Friedkin's 1971 action thriller The French Connection. Throughout the 1970s, he demonstrated his incredible range by starring in a diverse array of critically praised films, including the disaster epic The Poseidon Adventure, the road drama Scarecrow alongside Al Pacino, Francis Ford Coppola's paranoid audio thriller The Conversation, and the neo-noir Night Moves. He further showcased his versatility by taking on the role of the quintessential supervillain Lex Luthor in the Superman films from 1978 to 1987, bringing a unique blend of menace and wit to the character. His career continued to flourish in the following decades, highlighted by powerful performances in films such as the historical drama Mississippi Burning, which earned him another Oscar nomination, and the inspirational sports film Hoosiers. Hackman secured his second Academy Award, this time for Best Supporting Actor, for his masterful performance as the morally complex Sheriff Little Bill Daggett in Clint Eastwood's 1992 Western Unforgiven. Even as he entered his later career, he remained a dominant screen presence, appearing in a string of successful films, including The Firm, Crimson Tide, Get Shorty, The Birdcage, Absolute Power, and Enemy of the State. His role as the eccentric patriarch Royal Tenenbaum in Wes Anderson's The Royal Tenenbaums in 2001 demonstrated his ability to adapt to a new style of filmmaking, delivering a performance that was both comedic and deeply poignant. Gene Hackman's determination to become an actor, forged in the face of repeated rejection, is a defining element of his legend. He began his pursuit at the Pasadena Playhouse in California, where he formed a close and enduring friendship with fellow outsider Dustin Hoffman. In a story that would become Hollywood lore, the two were voted least likely to succeed by their classmates, with Hackman receiving the lowest score the Playhouse had ever given. This dismissal only fueled his resolve. Moving to New York City, he joined a struggling circle of friends that included Hoffman and Robert Duvall, all sharing apartments and supporting themselves with menial jobs. While working as a doorman at a Howard Johnson's, Hackman faced further discouragement from a former instructor who saw the job as proof he wouldn't amount to anything. These experiences instilled in him a fierce, almost combative drive, which he later described as a psychological war where he was determined to do whatever it took to succeed, a mindset he admitted never fully left him. His breakthrough began with steady work in off-Broadway plays and numerous bit parts on television series. Hackman's final film role was in the comedy Welcome to Mooseport. In an interview, he confirmed his retirement from acting, explaining that a doctor's warning about his heart condition following a stress test was the primary reason. He stated that the physical stress of filmmaking was no longer advisable. Since retiring, he has focused on a successful second career as a novelist. When asked about a potential return to acting, he humorously suggested he might only consider it if he could film in his own house without disruption, effectively closing the door on one of the most celebrated and resilient careers in cinematic history. Following his retirement from the screen, Gene Hackman embarked on a successful and productive second career as an author, channeling his creative energy into writing historical fiction and novels. His literary journey began in collaboration with his friend, undersea archaeologist Daniel Lenihan, with whom he wrote 3 novels. Their first joint effort was Wake of the Perdo Star, a high-seas adventure set in the 19th century. This was followed by Justice for None, a Depression-era story of murder inspired by a real-life crime that had occurred in Hackman's boyhood town of Danville, Illinois, drawing on his own memories of the place. Their final collaboration was Escape from Andersonville, a tale centered on a prison break during the American Civil War. Hackman then ventured into writing on his own, producing his first solo novel, Payback at Morning Peak, a story of love and revenge set in the Old West. His final published work was the 2013 police thriller Pursuit, marking the conclusion of his literary endeavors. In addition to his writing, Hackman occasionally lent his distinctive and authoritative voice to documentary projects, maintaining a quiet connection to the media world he had left behind for NFL films. He narrated several episodes of the sports documentary series America's Game, The Super Bowl Champions. Later, he returned to the subject of the military, narrating 2 documentaries related to the United States Marine Corps, the branch in which he had served as a young man, The Unknown Flag Raiser of Iwo Jima, and We the Marines. These narration projects, along with his novels, represent the thoughtful and engaged pursuits of his retirement, demonstrating that his storytelling talents continued to flourish long after his final film role. Gene Hackman's personal life was marked by 2 long-term marriages. His first marriage was to Faye Maltese, whom he wed. The couple had 3 children together, a son named Christopher Allen and 2 daughters, Elizabeth Jean and Leslie Ann. During their marriage, which spanned several decades, Hackman's demanding film career often required him to be away on location while his children were growing up. After 30 years of marriage, Hackman and Maltese divorced. Several years later, Hackman married classical pianist Betsy Arakawa. The couple had been dating for 7 years prior to their marriage. They made their home together in Santa Fe, New Mexico, in a distinctive residence that was featured in Architectural Digest. The home, noted for its blend of southwestern architectural styles, was situated on a 12-acre hilltop property, offering panoramic 360-degree views of the surrounding Yemez, Sangre de Cristo, and Sandia mountain ranges. This home in Santa Fe became Hackman's primary residence following his retirement from acting. Gene Hackman was the father of 3 children from his first marriage to Faye Maltese, a son named Christopher Allen and 2 daughters, Elizabeth Jean and Leslie Ann. Throughout their childhood, Hackman's demanding film career often kept him away from home for extended periods, a sacrifice he later acknowledged with regret, noting the difficulty of providing consistent guidance while working on location for months at a time. Despite these early challenges, their relationship evolved into a warm and loving one in his later years. His children have consistently chosen to lead very private lives away from the public eye, and as a result, details about their specific careers and current endeavors are not widely known. The family's approach to maintaining Gene Hackman's legacy has been one of quiet dignity and profound respect for his wish for privacy, which he fiercely protected after retiring from acting. Following the tragic deaths of Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, his children have taken legal action to prevent the public release of sensitive evidence from the investigation, arguing for the family's right to privacy. This effort reflects their commitment to honoring their father's memory by shielding his final days from public scrutiny. In their joint statement announcing his passing, they encapsulated this sentiment, expressing that while he was loved by millions for his brilliant acting career, to them he was simply dad and grandpa, highlighting that his most cherished legacy was that of a family man. Gene Hackman's personal views and diverse interests painted a picture of a man with a vibrant life beyond the camera. Politically, he identified as a supporter of the Democratic Party and famously expressed pride in being included on President Richard Nixon's enemies list. Despite this partisan alignment, he spoke fondly of Republican President Ronald Reagan, demonstrating an ability to appreciate individuals across the political spectrum. His passions were dynamic and hands-on. In the late 70s and into the 80s, Hackman was an avid competitive race car driver. He participated in Sports Car Club of America events, piloting an open-wheeled Formula Ford, and won the Long Beach Toyota Pro Celebrity Race. His commitment to the sport was further evidenced by his participation in endurance events, including driving a Dan Gurney Team Toyota in the grueling 24 Hours of Daytona. Another sporting passion was American football. He was a devoted fan of the Jacksonville Jaguars, regularly attending their games as a personal guest of former head coach Jack Del Rio, a friend since Del Rio's college playing days. A more enduring creative interest was architecture and design. Hackman was deeply involved in designing and restoring homes, having created 10 properties, 2 of which were featured in Architectural Digest. He confessed to a fascination with the building process itself, often finding himself ready to move on to a new project once a home was completed. He maintained an active lifestyle well into his later years, remaining a dedicated cyclist into his 90s. This hobby, however, led to an incident in which he was struck by a pickup truck while cycling in the Florida Keys. Fortunately, initial reports of serious head trauma were inaccurate, and he sustained only minor bumps and bruises. In terms of his health, Hackman had undergone an angioplasty years prior. It was later revealed that he had been living with Alzheimer's disease, a condition that contributed to his death. His final public appearances occurred in the years leading up to his passing, with his last known sighting taking place in the spring. The final chapter of Gene Hackman's life was marked by profound tragedy and isolation. In his last months, the actor, who had retreated from public life in Santa Fe, New Mexico, with his wife Betsy Arakawa, showed visible signs of declining health. The couple had ceased communication with family and friends, living in seclusion within their gated community. Arakawa, who served as Hackman's sole caregiver, was last seen alive in mid-February. Shortly thereafter, she contacted a local physician complaining of respiratory issues and made an appointment for that afternoon, but she failed to arrive. It was later determined that Arakawa had died in their home from hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. In the days that followed, Hackman, whose advanced Alzheimer's disease left him unable to comprehend his wife's passing, did not seek help. He remained in the home with her body and their dogs until he died approximately a week later from severe heart disease, which was complicated by his Alzheimer's and kidney disease. He was 95 years old. The couple's bodies, along with the body of one of their 3 dogs, were discovered by maintenance workers who had grown concerned after the couple failed to answer the door. Security personnel called to assist saw the bodies through a window, prompting a full investigation. Although foul play was not suspected, the circumstances were initially deemed suspicious, leading authorities to rule out causes like carbon monoxide poisoning before the official causes of death were announced at a press conference. Following the discovery, Hackman's estate moved to block the public release of images and videos from the investigation. The complex nature of their passing extended to their wills. Arakawa's will stipulated that if the couple died within 90 days of each other, their estate would go to charity, while Hackman's older will had named Arakawa as his sole inheritor, creating a poignant legal and personal conclusion to the lives of the reclusive actor and his wife. Gene Hackman's greatness stemmed from a powerful and paradoxical fusion of extraordinary intensity and profound relatability. He was not a conventional leading man, but rather an actor who embodied the complexities and contradictions of the everyman pushed to his limits. What makes his career so monumental is that his talent was not defined by a single type of role, but by a chameleonic ability to inhabit vastly different characters, grounding each one in a palpable, often gritty authenticity. He possessed a unique ability to convey immense internal pressure, a sense that his characters were vessels containing roiling emotions, rage, determination, vulnerability, or cunning that could erupt at any moment. This intensity was never theatrical. It was simmering and deeply internal, making his performances feel dangerously real and unpredictable. This authenticity was the bedrock of his art. Whether he was the obsessive detective Popeye Doyle in The French Connection, the paranoid surveillance expert Harry Call in The Conversation, or the sadistic sheriff Little Bill Daggett in Unforgiven, Hackman never judged his characters. He approached them with a psychological honesty that allowed him to find the human core within even the most flawed or monstrous individuals. He could be terrifying in one scene and surprisingly tender in the next, as evidenced by his heartbreaking performance as the son struggling to connect with his father in I Never Sang for My Father. This range was staggering. He was equally believable as a ruthless lawyer in The Firm, an inspirational basketball coach in Hoosiers, and a comedic scene stealer as the conservative senator in The Birdcage or the charmingly blind hermit in Young Frankenstein. Furthermore, his greatness was forged in resilience. The early rejections, from being voted least likely to succeed at drama school to facing dismissals and setbacks, instilled in him a relentless work ethic and a determination that mirrored the tenacity of the characters he would later portray. He brought a blue-collar grit to his work, an understanding of struggle that resonated with audiences. He was an actor who seemed to have lived, and that life experience informed every role. Hackman's legacy is not merely a collection of awards, though his 2 Oscars and numerous nominations testify to the high regard of his industry. His true legacy is etched into the history of cinema through a gallery of unforgettable characters who feel less like performances and more like real people captured on film. He was the quintessential character actor who became a star without ever compromising his essential, rugged truthfulness, leaving behind a body of work that remains a masterclass in power, subtlety, and uncompromising humanity.